All set.
Okay, Safety and Development Committee meeting will come to order. Let it be noted that all 5 members of the committee are present. First item on the agenda for discussion is a resolution approving a 60-day extension until February 3rd, 2021 of a temporary moratorium on industrial uses at the properties located at 331-333 South 108th and the 100 block South 108th. Is there any discussion or question on this particular item? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 27, and this is a resolution approving a 60-day extension until February 3rd, 2021 of a temporary moratorium on industrial uses at the properties located at 6500 West Washington Street, 1323 South 65th Street, and 1339 to 1347 South 65th Street. Any comments or discussion or questions regarding this item? Both of these items are on the consent agenda and will be acted upon at that time. Since there's nothing else to come before the committee, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We are adjourned.
Okay, and the Administration and Finance Committee will come to order, and all 5 members are present. Item 11 on our agenda, which is the first item on our agenda for discussion, is a communication regarding the My Government Online MGO software implementation for parking permits and pet licenses and other upcoming implementations.
Ed, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah, so just real quick on this. We've discussed this software program a few times now. So this is My Government Online. It's basically it started off as a building permit software program that was started down in Louisiana right after Hurricane Katrina. Everybody loved it so much they said, "Hey, let's expand this out to the rest of the country." So because it's government that runs it and everything, it's offered at a very reasonable price. So they don't make a profit necessarily on what they're putting out there. They just sort of run it just to keep their staff working essentially, and to keep improving the product for themselves and the other communities. So basically we're getting real close to starting to implement some of these programs. We're going to go live with building permits probably real early in January. This is something from the time I've started with the city that I've been really looking forward to having an actual automated online building permit system. So looking forward to this. But that's sort of the quick little background on it. As Tony will explain, we're kind of moving, shifting away from starting that building permit stuff first and going more to the pet licenses and parking permits first. And I'll toss it over here to Tony to kind of walk you through that stuff.
Yeah, so there was a slide deck that supported this agenda item. I'm not going to drain that deck. Instead, I'm just going to hit on the 3 main points that were kind of part of that deck. So the first one is, like Ed mentioned, the schedule. We were going to roll out the building permitting stuff this year, but we deferred that a month, primarily because we realized there's 2 very high volume, high resident impacting workflows that are kind of annual in nature. One is parking, the other one is pets. So on December 22nd, that's a Tuesday, that is the first day residents can start buying parking permits for January 2021. We really wanted all of that to be in the new system, not the old system. That's not only the monthly permits, it's the quarterly or the annual permits. So on that Tuesday morning, if a resident tries to buy a parking permit or gets overnight parking permissions, They will be doing that in the new MGO system. 1 week later is when we go live with the pet stuff. Because again, at the end of December, that's when people are normally renewing pet licenses, which are on a January to January annual renewal. So pet licenses and dog park passes will also start being sold on December 28th on this new platform. And then the bins and development stuff will follow in January. So that's the schedule. I'll just hit my other 2 points and then I'll be done and you guys can ask questions. Point number 2, I would argue, is the most important because this is a thing that older people might get called about. So now that I got all your attention, the MGO platform is built on the notion that every user establishes a profile for themselves. That's a one-time event. It should only take a few minutes. Basically, a user has to tell the system who they are, where they live, what their email account is, and a few other innocent pieces of data. And then subsequently, when they want to conduct business through this application, they will need an ID and a password to sign in and execute those transactions. The password will be non-expiring, so that means it'll never change. So as long as people set up a good password, we don't expect they're ever going to forget it. But I'll admit this is going to probably feel like a bit of a step backwards at first for some of our residents because, quite frankly, they don't have to supply this information when they do this work with us on our existing website. But we're really excited about the long-term benefits this will allow us as a city. So I think everyone on this call has probably shopped at Amazon. You've probably experienced how convenient it is to shop on Amazon. The more you buy there, the system keeps track of who you are, keeps track of your information, can kind of track when things are about to maybe happen that you might want to make a purchase. The MGO platform is not like Amazon where it's going to send you annoying messages left and right, but we do see potential for it to make future business for our residents a lot easier to conduct with the city. So like renewals, the system will be able to automatically send a resident a message saying, hey, that annual dog license that you've got, that pet license is about to expire. Maybe you should consider renewing it, and then it'll be really easy for the resident to renew it. They won't have to annually type in all the information that they do every year to get a new pet license. And so there's some real benefit we see in the way this system is designed that will require a little bit more upfront work, but will definitely have benefits on the back end the more transactions our residents conduct with us. The other nuance to this point, before I get to point number 3, is if any of our residents have questions about how to use the MGO software, they're actually going to be instructed to contact the vendor, MGO. So that firm that we signed the contract with back in May that we're going to be using this platform for, they have a very robust help center. They help residents all over the country learn how to use their software as efficiently as possible. And they kind of act as the front line of defense for residents who might have questions with their profile or their password. And that's something that we signed up for when we did business with them. So again, on the second point, profiles are needed. Residents are going to have to sign in with a password and ID, but if they get stuck, the vendor is there to help them. My third and last point is we're going to be, with the help of John Maddie's team, we're going to be flooding the airwaves in the next few weeks here with communication to our residents, letting them know what we're doing. The first step in that was to talk to all of you tonight so that you guys were aware. But then starting as soon as tomorrow, we're going to be sending them through social media and other venues, just more information about this platform, how it works, and how it's going to benefit them in the long haul. That's what I got.
Tony, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please go ahead.
I just wanted to add that while we have a lot of technologically forward residents, we also have people that prefer to do things in person, and they will still have that option. So we're not forcing everyone to do things online. We're just providing that convenience for the majority of people who like to do that at this time. And when we get the kiosk installed at City Hall and other buildings, they'll be able to access this information, or they'll be able to apply on the kiosks. But as I said, they can still apply in person, and we'll help them through the process.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, please, Alderwoman King.
Tony, if I know that the passwords are non-expiring, but if they forget their user ID or password, is it a self-reset, or are they going to be calling the vendor? Are they working with us? How does that work? I'm a little concerned if, people forget it and it's not a self-reset.
Excellent question. I don't know if I can answer that. That's a good question. I think, and I know Marion Bretto, one of our experts that's on the project team, might have an answer to this. I thought they were going to be calling the help desk at the vendor directly, that there wasn't a self-reset option where they get an email with a new password that temporarily gets them to put in a new password. I think it is a direct call to the vendor. Marion, do you know any more on that?
I want to say when I set up my password, I told it my email and it sent me a link. But if they were to forget what email they used, I think that might have to be a call to the vendor.
Okay.
Directly. But otherwise, they would not be calling us. Everything is through the vendor. If they forget anything, whether it be email, username, or password, that's all done through their help desk.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Grill.
I just looked it up online, and the password is a reset as long as you know your email that you used in the first place.
Okay, good. That was my concern, is people might get frustrated that it doesn't work. Now they have to call a number. We know everyone's busy, which could discourage them from saying this is too much and not properly utilizing it how we want. So that helps.
Good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Alderman Weigel.
Tony, I know you said December 28th, I believe, for the dog park passes. I don't know how many actually did this, but in years past, people had talked about buying passes as Christmas presents, either for their 2-footed loved ones or their 4-footed loved ones. And I'm just wondering how difficult it would be to slide that a week early.
We could talk to the vendor about that, Alderman Weigel. We didn't want to necessarily go live with pets and parking on the same day because we didn't want to be overwhelmed. Having said that, I don't really know what the volume was like for dog park passes. We can follow up with them tomorrow. I can tell you, because of all the work we've been doing here the last few months, that system's pretty much built. So I don't think it would take a lot to roll it out a little bit sooner. We were just trying to phase the rollouts.
It wouldn't have to be the same day, but even if it was just like 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
Or something.
We can check into that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, John.
Hi, John. Maddie here. Part of our communication plan for the pet license rollout will be to also promote and bundle in the dog park pass. So yeah, we'll make sure we get that out there.
All right, any other discussion on this issue? I just want to say thanks to staff for getting this going. This is great, and I think we're all happy to see it.
Thanks for your support.
Okay, and then moving on to our closed session item, I'll read it out here. Item 24, a resolution authorizing the city engineer to amend the existing agreement with Barrientos Design and Consulting Incorporated for additional architectural consulting services related to the Public Works facility in the amount not to exceed $18,256, and authorizing and directing the appropriate City of West Dallas officials to execute a budget amendment to transfer the necessary funds for this work. And for file number 24, the committee may convene in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin statute section 19.85 1E for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties or the investing of public funds. The council or committee may reconvene in open session after the completion of the closed session to consider the balance of the agenda. Can I have a motion to go into closed session?
So
So
moved.
moved.
I have
Second.
a We have a motion and a second, and Alderman Lysick,
Aye.
Alderman Weigel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Keene,
Aye.
and Alderman Tenorio.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We are in closed session.